I found this really old footage of the first time I ever explored an ancient city in this world. I was absolutely terrified while I was playing, and so I thought this was the perfect backdrop to read some scary Reddit stories. These stories are mostly from r/nosleep and have mentions of death and blood and all that fun stuff, so if that's not really your thing, no worries, I'll see you in the next video. But anyways, if you're still here, thanks for watching. Let's read the first story. You're going to notice a woman in your home. You must ignore her. It was December of 1999 when she infested our quiet Midwestern home. My father called me from downstairs. I assumed it was time for dinner. He was standing at the bottom of the stairs and had his hand up in an effort to keep me from coming down. The moment I saw panic in his eyes, I knew something was wrong. "I want you to listen to me very carefully," he said. My heart started to race as he continued. "It's very important that you keep your eyes on me. You're going to notice someone else in our home, but you must ignore her as much as possible." I almost started laughing. My 12-year-old mind was trying to comprehend what he was getting at, assuming that this was some sort of out-of-character joke. Before I could respond, he continued, "She's going to whisper things, follow you, and whatever else she can do to get your attention. It's going to be very difficult, son, but you must never interact with her. I promise, eventually she will leave, but only if you pretend she isn't there. And try not to think about her. Promise me." There were so many things that I wanted to ask him, but I was too frightened and confused. I managed to spit out, "Okay, Dad. All right, now come downstairs. It's time for dinner. And hurry, I've just made her stronger by telling you that. But I had to, I can't afford you looking at her by mistake. Trust me, now stay focused." My dad barked. I did as I was told and slowly crept down the stairs, keeping my eyes glued to my father's as he backpedaled into the kitchen. I felt the temperature drop significantly as I reached the first floor. I smelled a familiar, sickeningly sour scent in the air. It reminded me of the time a raccoon died in our wall and stunk up the whole house for a week. My father and I sat down at the table at the same time. My sister was across from me. Her head hung, and her eyes stared at the empty, porcelain plate in front of her. My mother pulled a casserole out of the oven. Her eyes were swollen and tear-stained. I kept my focus on my family, but out of the corner of my eye I could see a blurry mess of dark, matted hair and sickly gray skin. There was no energy in the kitchen. Drained of all the warmth and laughter that usually accompanied our meals. My sister grabbed my knee under the table and whispered, "Can you see her too?" I nodded. "Quiet," my father hissed. The woman walked forward with wet, crackling footsteps. The smell was nauseating. She crept towards the table, stopping directly behind my sister, only a few inches away, and rested a decrepit hand on her shoulder. She winced in fear and stared at me. I immediately put my head back down. My mother served our dinner, doing her best to pretend as if everything was okay. I could see my father clutching my sister's hand underneath the glass table in an attempt to keep her from completely losing it. My sister spent the entire dinner with the skeletal hand on her shoulder. Nearly inaudible whispers spewed from the woman's mouth and filled the room like white noise. And that's how we lived for months, doing our best to live a normal life despite the ever-present unwanted guest. Even if we left the house, she was somehow able to follow us all. Whenever the four of us were in the car, she could be seen in the rearview mirror, or standing on the side of the road. My parents didn't let anyone visit, and never let us stay at friends' homes during the months of hell. We were able to whisper to one another when it was absolutely necessary to discuss her presence, as long as she wasn't too close. My father made us promise never to tell anyone. That was the only way to quarantine her, the parasite of attention. We concluded that she infected a single household at a time, unable to be seen by anyone outside the home unless their mind had been tainted with the knowledge of her existence. I learned a few years later that my father had been the reason for her arrival in the first place. His sister, back in the 70s, had been infected from another and had followed my aunt into their home. In 1999, for whatever reason, my father struggled to keep the thought of her at bay. In turn, he brought her back into his life and consequently ours. We kept the promise of keeping her secret from others, and it was the hardest thing we've ever done. All of us tried leaving the house as a group and she followed. We couldn't bring ourselves to break our family apart. It was the hardest for my mother, who was stuck alone with her while we were at school and while my father was at work. Everything changed the day that my mother broke. It was a snowy February night and we had finished dinner and my mother decided to go to bed early. The woman was sitting on their bed, making herself impossible to ignore. My mother couldn't take it. I heard screaming from the bedroom, demanding that she leave us alone. My father sprinted upstairs to try and stop her. That was the last time that I ever saw my mother. A pool of blood on the white carpet was all that remained. The woman was still there, but my mother was gone. In the following weeks, she whispered to me. She told me that I could see my mother again. All I had to do was look and ask how. I never did. And the reason that I'm telling you now is because I want you to think about her. I saw her again this morning, for the first time in 18 years. I cannot afford to lose my wife or children to this parasite. I need you to think about her dark hair and gray skin. Think about her and your home. So that she may leave mine. You're already infected. And eventually you're going to notice a woman in your home. You must ignore her. It's for your own good. I'm so sorry. Okay, I think that should be good. Oh, God damn it. No, no. Get me out of here. You know what? I think that's 3. I'm leaving. There's no way. I feel so underprepared right now. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go gear up. I do so little brewing in this game that I had to look up how to make a night vision potion. But I do feel like these are what's going to put us over the edge. This is going to give us our edge on the warden. I don't know, man. My local radio station has been announcing people's names for a while now. I just found out what it meant. For as long as I can remember, WLNK 973 The Link has been the local radio station in my town. It's one of those stations that plays a little bit of everything. Old rock. Some pop hits, even a few talk shows when the ad money dries up. Everyone listens to it. You know, the kind of station that's always on in the background at diners, garages, and grocery stores. I'd been a casual listener my whole life. It's dependable, familiar, safe. But all that changed 3 months ago. The night I noticed something that I couldn't explain. Something no one else seems to believe no matter how many times I try to tell them. It started on a Monday night. I'd been driving home late from work. Flipping between stations when I landed on WLNK. I wasn't paying much attention, just another evening commute. The DJ was wrapping up a song, probably playing something by Fleetwood Mac, when he cut to his usual banter. And now, the name of the night, he said, his voice dropping into a strange, almost playful tone. There was a pause, static buzzing faintly in the background. Then, with eerie clarity, the DJ said a single name. Jessica Browning. It felt odd. There was no context, no explanation. Just a name, dropped into the ether like a stone on still water. I shrugged it off. Maybe it was part of a contest or some weird new segment. But I couldn't shake the way it felt. The delivery was too strange, too deliberate. I forgot about it until the following Monday. I was driving again, same time, same station, when the DJ did it again. And now, for the name of the night. This time the name was Robert Sanchez. Another pause, another song. The pattern continued every Monday at exactly 11:05 p.m. One name, no explanation, just dropped into the void. By the 5th week, curiosity had gotten the better of me. I started listening religiously, notebook in hand. Each Monday night, I'd jot down the name. And each week, I'd search social media, local news sites, anything that might explain what this segment was about. At first, I found nothing. No contests, no winners, no mentions of the names anywhere. But then something changed. One week, the name was Caleb Howard. It stuck with me because Caleb worked at the gas station near my apartment. We weren't friends or anything, but I chatted with him a few times while paying for coffee and snacks. He was a nice guy, always had a smile on his face. I didn't think much of it until a week later, when I stopped at the gas station and saw a Help Find Caleb poster taped to the door. He'd gone missing. The clerk behind the counter, a college kid with nervous energy, told me that Caleb had just disappeared after his shift. No one knew where he'd gone. His car was still in the parking lot. I couldn't believe it. Caleb's name had been said on WLNK exactly a week before. I told myself it was a coincidence, but deep down I knew that it wasn't. I started digging. I went through the names that I'd written down in my notebook and searched for any trace of them. By now I had 6 names, including Caleb's. 3 of them, Jessica Browning, Robert Sanchez, and Caleb Howard, were confirmed missing. Their faces stared back at me from articles and social media posts. Plastered with desperate pleas from friends and family. No one else seemed to see the pattern. I tried asking people about the show, but everyone looked at me like I was crazy. A few people said they listened to WLNK, but none of them had noticed the name of the night segment. Some even insisted that it didn't exist. I couldn't explain it. How could a radio broadcast that I heard every week leave no trace? By the time the 8th name was announced, I was obsessed. The name was Emily Carter. I didn't know her personally, but a quick search on social media turned up with her profile. She was 28, lived on the other side of town, and worked as a veterinary assistant. Her posts were filled with photos of smiling dogs and cats, each caption brimming with positivity. I couldn't let her vanish like the others. I sent her a message. It was awkward, clumsy. I said, "Hi, you don't know me, but I heard your name mentioned on a radio station. It's hard to explain, but I think something bad might happen to you soon. Please be careful." She didn't reply. Over the next week, I checked her profile obsessively. She posted like normal. Pictures of her dog. Updates from work. Jokes about her favorite TV shows. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Then, exactly 7 days later, her post stopped. I knew what that meant. The next morning, I saw a news article. Local veterinary assistant reported missing. She was gone. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed answers. I started visiting WLNK's building after hours, trying to figure out who was behind the segment. The station was housed in an old, nondescript building downtown. I watched it for hours, hoping to catch a glimpse of the DJ or anyone else who might know anything about the names. Nothing. On a whim, I tried calling the station during the day. The receptionist who answered sounded confused when I asked about the 11.05 broadcast. "We don't have anything like that on our schedule," she said. "Are you sure you're listening to WLNK?" "Yes," I insisted. "It happens every Monday night." There was a long pause. Then quietly, she said, "We don't have live programming at that time." Last Monday, the name was Brandon Lewis. I found him online, a local contractor with a wife and 2 kids. I didn't bother messaging him this time. No one ever believed me. Instead, I decided to confront the source. At 10:30 p.m., I parked outside WLNK. The building was dark except for a single light on the second floor. I waited, heart pounding, until 11:05. When the time came, I heard it. The muffled sound of the broadcast through the building's walls. And now, the name of the night. I burst through the door. Inside, the station was eerily silent. The reception desk was empty. The hallways were dark. I followed the faint sound of the DJ's voice up from a flight of creaky stairs to the second floor. At the end of the hallway, a door was slightly ajar, warm light spilling into the corridor. I pushed it open. The room was empty. Just an old desk, a microphone, a tangle of outdated broadcasting equipment. The on-air sign flickered weakly. The static-filled voice of the DJ continued. "Brandon Lewis." I stepped closer, and the equipment suddenly shut off. The room plunged into silence. Then I saw it. Taped to the wall behind the desk was a list of names, written in neat, looping handwriting. My heart stopped when I saw the last entry. Ethan Grant. That's my name. It's been 6 days since that broadcast. I've locked myself in my apartment, every door and window sealed. The phone rings sometimes, but I don't answer it. Tomorrow is day 7. If anyone hears this, if anyone knows what's happening, please don't let them say another name. Because no one ever comes back. Oh, shit. Nope. 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 Get me out. Get me out. Absolutely not. Can he laser me? How high do I have to be for him to laser me? Oh, he's just coming up here. Nope. Nope, I'm building the wall. My son's camera monitor alerted in the middle of the night. I checked it and saw my wife and son sitting on the bed. They were not my wife and son. I'm a nurse and I currently work night shifts. It's a total drag, but I'm hopeful that I can go to days soon since some of my coworkers are planning their retirements. Anyway, I was working one night when, just after 3 a.m., my son's monitor alerted me to sound and movement. No big deal at all. He probably just coughed loudly or sneezed or something. He's 3 now, so he generally sleeps all night. I bring it up on my phone, and I see him and my wife sitting on the bed. Again, no big deal. He might have cried out or gotten scared or something. I was about to close the app when I noticed they were acting strange, almost creepy. They were sitting on the bed together, both of them just staring at the camera with blank, emotionless stares. The camera's night vision is black and white, so they had white, eerie-looking eyes. They couldn't move at all aside from their visible breathing. They just sat there staring at the camera. I closed the app and gave my wife a call to make sure everything was okay. I never get to call home on lunch, so in a way this was kind of nice to get to talk to my family while I was at work. It rang a couple times before she answered with a very groggy, "Hello?" It was like she was dead asleep when I called, and she looked wide awake when on the camera. Hey, are you guys okay? I said. Huh? Oh, yeah. Buddy, my son's nickname, came in like 15 minutes ago. Seemed so scared, so I said he could sleep with Mama. I was confused there, since I saw them in his room a minute ago. Literally 60 seconds had passed since I closed the app and made the call. Wait, so you guys are in bed? I said. Yeah, I fell back asleep right away. Everybody keeps waking me up. She sounded kind of annoyed. Hang on a sec. I put her on speaker and brought up the app, hoping that I didn't see it. When the app loaded, I got that pang of intense nervousness in my stomach that I hadn't had in a long time. My heart leapt into my throat. My wife and son were sitting on the bed looking up at the camera. The same emotionless stares. You guys are in bed, right? I said. Yeah, we're trying to sleep. Well, I'm looking at his camera right now and I see the two of you sitting on his bed. No, we're in our bed, she says back. I know that's what you mean, but I'm looking at his bed and the two of you are in there. Hang on, she says. She's quiet for a second while she brings up the camera on her phone. I hear this guttural, terrified gasp, like she had sucked all the air from the room into her lungs, filling them to capacity. I don't hear this kind of gasp from my wife often. I heard the rustling of sheets and the line went dead. Of course, then I was absolutely terrified myself, so I immediately called back. It went to voicemail, so I called again. I call again and again with no answer. Finally, after about 4 minutes, she calls me. I tell you, that 4 minutes felt like 40 years. Hey, what's happening? I ask. She was absolutely hysterical and crying. I couldn't understand a word she was saying. She slows down enough to explain to me that they are in the car and driving to her parents'. She had looked at the camera, and when she had seen what was on it, she got up, grabbed our son, and rushed downstairs and got out the door. Didn't even close the garage. Don't worry about it, I said. I'll drive by when I get off and close it. We live in a generally safe neighborhood, so I'm not concerned when the door's up. You will not go in there, she said. Hell no, I said back. Why are we on the camera, she asked. Is it a recording? I don't know, I said. I'm going to keep watching it and see if there's anything that I can tell. Do our code words with Buddy. We have code words because we're nerds. We've seen too many pod people and imposter movies. So we decided a long time ago to make code words with each other to be able to tell if one of us was an imposter. I heard her on the phone saying things that we taught our son. He giggles as he says them, since he thinks they're a joke and doesn't have any idea of the real meaning. We're both convinced he's our son. My wife then said her part, and I'm convinced that she's her. We made up these words as a complete joke to ourselves. I never once in my life imagined that we'd actually need them. She got to her parents safely, and it was hard to hang up. I told her we'll figure it out in the morning. Hopefully it was just a glitch. She said that she did not think it was a glitch. When she was running out of the house, she had to run by our son's room and the door was open. There was a little flashing light on the back of the camera that indicates it's connected to the internet. It gives off just enough light that as she ran by, she thought she saw, out of the corner of her eye, a shadowy outline of what could have been an adult sitting in our son's bed. It sends chills down my spine to think about. Knowing they were safe and out of the house is the only thing that kept me at work that night. It was a long 4 hours and I kept checking the camera at every chance I got. Sure enough, they were still sitting on the bed staring up at the camera with emotionless gazes. I studied them to see if I could see any pattern from their breathing or their blinking. Their breathing was steady and looked normal. It was their blinking that would tell me if this was just some kind of bizarre time-looped freak accident video or not. I intently stared at my phone and would count the seconds between each blink. The passing hours are what finally sealed the deal that this was not some weird looped video of some kind. My son's window was visible on camera. And I could see on the camera that it was getting lighter outside of his room. I tried to figure out what the hell I was going to do before I left work. Calling the police came to mind, but I talked myself out of it. First of all, what was I supposed to say? Someone's in my house and looks like my wife but isn't? Worse yet, what if they are entities of some kind and the police do go over and it kills them or something? I decided to tell a coworker about it. He's a firm believer in the paranormal and might have a suggestion. I showed him the video, told him the story. His initial response was, "That's creepy as fuck." But he said that he wanted to go over and check it out. He said that we should both see if the not my wife would try and act like my wife. I told him. Absolutely not, and he said that we should at least go to the house even if we didn't go in. I agreed to that since I did want to close the garage. We got to my house and walked around the perimeter first. The curtains were all drawn since nobody was there to open them in the morning. I went to close the garage and suddenly had this overwhelming urge to go inside and investigate. It was like I just had to know what was going on. So we went in. We walked through the kitchen towards the foyer where the stairs were. It was so quiet in the house you could hear a feather drop. We stopped at the bottom of the stairs and waited a few seconds. I looked at the camera app again on my phone and they were still sitting there. I've never been so scared in my life. My coworker put his foot on the first step and I suddenly said, "Stop," loudly. "Forget this, we're out of here," I told him. I started making my way back to the kitchen. We heard a loud creak in the floorboards from upstairs. It's my son's room. He has a very loud, creaky board right in the middle of his floor that is almost impossible not to step on. Come on, come on," I yelled as I motioned for my friend to move his ass. We're out of the house in about 2 seconds. Out on the street, I checked my phone. Now only the imposter of my son was sitting on the bed. The same blank stare. My wife was gone. "Holy shit," my coworker says. "That was stupid of us." "Do not tell my wife that we went inside," I said. I used the garage door opener in my car to close the door. Before we left, I looked at the camera again. My imposter wife was back on the bed with my imposter son, both of them blankly staring up at the camera, blinking every few seconds. That was all about 4 days ago now. My imposter wife and son are still sitting on the bed, staring up at the camera. They haven't even moved a millimeter. We obviously haven't gone back into our house. What should we do? That story is the beginning of a series, so if you like that post, you can go check out the rest. I have all of the posts linked at the timestamps in the description. My dead girlfriend keeps messaging me on Facebook. I've got the screenshots. I don't know what to do. Tonight's kind of a catalyst for this post. I just received another message, and it's worse than any of the others. My girlfriend died on the 7th of August, 2012. She was involved in a 3-car collision driving home from work when someone ran a red light. She passed away within minutes on the scene. We had been dating for 5 years at that point. She wasn't big on the idea of marriage. It felt archaic, she said. Gave her a weird vibe. But if she had been into marriage, I would have married her within 3 months of our relationship. She was vibrant, the kind of girl that would choose dare every time. She was happiest when camping, but a total technophile too. She always smelled like cinnamon. That being said, she wasn't perfect. She always said that when she died, she didn't want people to just say nice things about her just because. So this is for M. The music she said she liked and the music she actually liked were very different. Her idea of affection was a side hug, and she had really long toes, like a chimpanzee. I know that's all tangential. But I don't feel right discussing her without you at least having an idea of what she was like. Now, on to the meat. M had been dead for approaching 13 months when she first messaged me. September 4th, 2013. This is when it began. I had left Emily's Facebook account activated so I could send her the occasional message, post on her wall, go through her albums. It felt too final to memorialize the page. I share access to it with her mother, Susan. Meaning, her mother has the login and password, and has spent a total of approximately 3 minutes on the website. Or her computer total. After a little confusion, I assumed these messages were from her. The following are our messages from September 4th, 2013. Emily. Hello? Me. Who is this? It's really weird receiving messages from Emily's account. Okay, well, in the future, please send me messages from your account, even if you want to discuss her page. Emily. Hello? Me. Susan, you're on Emily's account. November 16th, 2013. I had received confirmation from Susan that she hadn't logged into Emily's Facebook since the week of her death. Em knew a lot of people, so I instantly assumed this was one of her more tech-savvy friends fucking with me in the worst possible way. I noticed pretty much immediately that whoever was chatting with me was recycling old messages from our shared chat history. Here were the messages from that day. Emily. Hello? Let's hit up the trails this Sunday. Me. Who the fuck is this? Emily. The wheels on the bus. Me. Please tell me who you are. The wheels on the bus comment was from when we were discussing songs to play on a road trip that never eventuated. Hello happened a million times. Around February 2014, Emily started tagging herself in my photos. I would get notifications for them, but the tag would generally always be removed by the time that I got to it. The first time I actually caught one, it felt like someone had punched me in the gut. She, or whoever she was, would tag herself in spaces that were plausible for her to be, or where she would usually hang out. I've got screenshots of 2, from April and June. These are the only 2 that I caught, so they're a little out of the timeline that I'm trying to write out. Around this period of time, I stopped being able to sleep. I was too angry to sleep. She would tag herself in random photos every couple weeks. The friends who noticed and said something thought that it was a fucked up bug. I found out recently that there have been friends of ours who have noticed and didn't say anything. Some of them have removed me from their Facebook friends list. I was already pretty socially reclusive when M was alive, but her death turned me into something pretty close to a hermit, and Facebooks and MMOs were and are really my only social outlets. On March 15th, I sent what I assumed was M's hacker a message. Me. Why are you doing this? Why do you keep tagging her? On March 25th, I received an answer. Emily. Hello? Me. This is actually devastating. I don't know why you enjoy doing this. Oh my god, cinnamon-scented candles. Go to hell. Why are you doing this? It wasn't until I was going over these logs a few months later that I noticed that she was also recycling my own words as well. My response seems kind of lackluster here. I was intentionally providing him or her with emotional bait to keep them interested in their game. I was working off the assumption that the kind of person to do this would be the kind of person that would thrive on the distress of others. I was posting in tech forums, looking for ways to track this person, contacting Facebook. I needed to keep them around so I could gather evidence. On the 16th of April, I received these messages. Emily. We should make our own jam. Jesus fucking Christ, Samantha. Nah, different. No chance of passing. No chance of passing. How many? Garage side door. Side. I'd no chance of passing. This just seems like word salad, like all of our conversations so far. It's recycled from previous messages she's already sent. On the 29th of April, I received these messages from her. Emily, baked beans on toast. I don't know. I just said, yo, ask Nathan. Nathan. Me, I don't know what's happening. I don't know how you're still doing this. Please stop. Emily, please stop. I don't know what's happening. Nathan, I don't know what's happening. I hadn't discovered any leads at this point. Facebook told me the locations that her page had been accessed from, but since her death, they're all places I can't account for. My home, my work, my mom's house, etc. My response here wasn't bait. Yo, ask Nathan was an inside joke that isn't worth explaining, but seeing her say it again just absolutely fucking crippled me. My reaction in real life was much less pretty. Her last few messages had started to scare me, but I wouldn't admit it at this point. The 8th of May. I don't really have any words for these messages. Here's what they read. Emily at 1 o'clock. -12. -15. Emily at 1:22 p.m. My jumper's in the dryer and it's really cold out. Really cold out. Cold. Cold. Nathan. Please stop. Cold. Freezing. I don't know what's happening. Freezing is the first original word that she has made. This has given me nightmares that have only started to kick in recently. I keep dreaming that she's in an ice-cold car. Frozen blue and gray. And I'm standing outside in the warmth, screaming at her to open the door. She doesn't even realize that I'm there. Sometimes her legs are outside with me. Here's our messages from the 24th of May, just days later. Me. I'm really drunk. I miss you. Whoever's on this account, I don't give a fuck. I keep coming home from work and expecting to see you at the computer. Shouldn't I be used to that by now? Emily. Just let me walk. I wasn't actually drunk in these messages. She wasn't an affectionate girl, and it always embarrassed her to exchange I love yous, cuddle, talk about how much we meant to each other. She was much more comfortable with it when I was boozed up. I got fake drunk a lot. Her reply here is what finally prompted me to memorialize her page, thinking it might help curb this behavior. It might seem innocuous compared to her previous message. It's pasted from an old conversation where I was trying to convince her to let me drive home from a friend's. In the collision, the dashboard had crushed her. She was severed in a diagonal line from her right hip midway down her left thigh. One of her legs was found tucked under the back seat. These messages are going back in time a bit, to the 7th of August, 2012. I wrote, "Hey, are you on your way home? Emily. Me again at 5:54 p.m. When you see this message, please ring me." Straight away. I rang our friend and they said you left at 4, and I'm starting to panic. I feel sick to my stomach. Please ring me. Me again at 5:59 p.m. Emily. Answer your phone. These messages are logs from the day that she died. She was usually home from work by 4:30. This, alongside a couple of voicemail messages, is the last time that I talked to her under the assumption that she was alive. You'll see why I'm showing you this soon. Yesterday, the 1st of July, 2014. I memorialized her page a couple days after I received the message about walking. Until today, she'd been quiet. She wasn't even tagging herself in my photos anymore. Here are the messages that she sent. Emily. Hey, are you on your way home? Emily, a few minutes later, said her own name. Emily, a few more minutes after that. When you see this message, please ring me. Straight away. Please stop. I rang our friend and they said you left at 5. I'm starting to panic. Please stop. Cold. Emily then said a few minutes later. Emily. Emily. Answer your phone. I don't know what's happening. Cold. Freezing. I don't know what to do anymore. Do I kill her memorial page? What if it is her? I don't know what's happening. I just heard a Facebook alert. I'm too afraid to swap windows and check it. Okay, so present day Jamie here. That last gameplay clip you saw was months ago now. So if you're wondering how my gear got upgraded so quickly, that's why. I did get these Swift Sneak books from the last time that I went down into the ancient city. So let me just actually put these on my pants really quick. But there's more stories to read. So I'm going to go back down there and voluntarily terrify myself again. I cleaned a dead woman's house and she didn't want me to leave with her things. This story gives me the shivers every time I think about it. A friend of mine invests in foreclosed homes and invited friends and family to come take whatever we wanted from a home that he was buying. When I got there, it was cluttered to hell and smelled awful. Food wrappers, expired milk, recipes from years ago. It was filthy. There were about 15 of us, masked and gloved up, scrapping whatever we could find. But as we dug deeper into the mess, it became sad. Sentimental items started to appear. New clothes that were in gift boxes, old passports that were stamped many times over, handwritten letters, and many photos from the 60s and 70s. I looked over the photos and felt bad that I was scavenging what was left of this lonely woman's life. From the photos, it seemed like she never had any kids and was widowed for a while. I ended up being the last one in the house. The sun had just set, so it was quiet and eerie being alone in the musty old home. My friend was waiting outside, and as I took my basket full of things I scavenged, I felt it. A cold, tight, tingling tug at my right arm. I nearly dropped what I was holding. It really felt like someone tugged me back. My body buckled backwards slightly. When I got home, I saw it. Right where I had felt it. The tug, I mean. A clearly pressed handprint on my arm. This isn't a sunburn. It never hurt. The pale pattern of a hand stayed with me for days. I hustled to rid the items. And only after everything was sold or donated did the handprint go away. I found my little sister's diary. I wish I hadn't. My little sister Emily always loved keeping a diary. She had stacks of them. Pastel covers with little locks, each one filled with messy handwriting and stickers. She used to guard them fiercely, threatening to tell on me if I so much as looked at them. But Emily passed away 3 months ago. She was only 11. A freak accident at the lake. She fell in, hit her head on a rock, and drowned before anyone could get to her. The funeral was unbearable, and afterward, I couldn't bring myself to touch her things. Her room remained untouched. Like a shrine to the girl that she used to be. But last week, Mom asked me to start sorting through her belongings. I found her latest diary in the bottom drawer of her desk. It was unlocked. I thought reading it might bring me some closure. I thought it would help me feel close to her again. I was wrong. The first few entries were normal. Today we had pizza for dinner. I took 2 slices before Joey could get to them all. He got mad, but I don't care. That made me smile. Emily always loved teasing me. The next few pages were full of harmless ramblings. Complaints about school, doodles of flowers and stars, lists of her favorite songs. But then, about halfway through, the tone started to change. I saw the man again today. He was standing in the backyard, watching me through the window. I told Mom, but she said I was imagining things. He's always there, though. I can feel him. The man, I thought. I paused, flipping back through earlier entries. No mention of him before. Maybe it was just Emily's overactive imagination. She'd always been a little jumpy, a little too eager to believe in monsters under the bed. I kept reading. The man came closer last night. He tapped on my window. He didn't say anything, just smiled at me. His teeth are so big. I wanted to scream, but I was too scared. I felt a chill run down my spine. Emily's handwriting got messier and messier with each entry, her words more frantic. He stands at the foot of my bed while I pretend to sleep. He whispers my name. He says he's waiting. Waiting for what? I thought. I flipped to the last few pages, my heart pounding. Joey doesn't see him. No one does. He told me not to tell. He said they wouldn't believe me. He said I belonged to him now. I stopped reading. My hands were shaking. This had to be some kind of prank. A make-up story Emily wrote to scare me. But the way she described it, the fear in her words, it felt so real. Too real. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the diary. I couldn't shake the image of Emily, lying in bed, terrified to scream while some stranger stood over her. I barely slept. When I finally drifted off, I dreamed about her. She was standing at the edge of a lake, staring at me with wide, unblinking eyes. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. When I woke up, I was drenched in sweat, and there was mud on my shoes. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe I'd gone outside to clear my head and didn't remember. But the next day, I found a page from Emily's diary laying on my desk. I hadn't brought the diary upstairs. The page wasn't one that I'd read before. The page read, "He says Joey will come next." My blood turned to ice. That night, I locked my bathroom door. I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head. That grief was playing tricks on me. But as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I heard it. A tap. And then another tap. On my window. I didn't want to look. I couldn't. But something made me turn my head. He was there. A man. Tall and thin. His pale face stretched like wax. He smiled at me, baring rows of jagged teeth, and pressed a single finger to his lips. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. When I woke up, it was morning. The window was locked. No sign of anyone outside. I almost convinced myself that it was a dream, until I went downstairs and found another page from Emily's diary on the kitchen table. The page read, "He says it's time. He says Joey belongs to him now. I haven't slept since. I haven't left the house. I keep hearing taps at the windows, whispers in the dark. Last night I found muddy footprints leading from the lake to my bedroom door. I think I understand now. Emily didn't fall. She didn't hit her head. He took her. And now he's coming for me. I have not been back down here since that recording from months ago. And honestly, I had no plans to return. Ever. But I think now my plan is to just mine all of these blocks that are down here and just take this city for all that it's worth. This story is titled, "I Had a Disturbing Conversation with My 7-Year-Old Daughter." Dad, I saw a zombie. I was in the kitchen making tea when my little girl came rushing in. She ran through the back door so fast and she almost tripped up the step. I poured boiling water from the kettle into a mug, hardly looking up. "Oh yeah?" I said. "Yeah, I did." Its face was all pale and messed up. "It was gross, Dad." I put the kettle back and picked up the milk and sighed inwardly. I really had to be more careful about what I watched on TV in the evening. Rosie has a habit of sneaking downstairs in the night, and last week she caught me watching The Walking Dead, of all things. She's had zombies on the brain ever since. I keep telling her they're not real, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. "Sweetheart, what did we say about zombies?" I scooped the tea bag out of the mug and dumped it into the bin. "You know if you keep talking about them, you're going to get in trouble with Mom again." "Yeah, but I saw one," she said. "I know, darling, but I already checked the back garden twice yesterday, and I can promise you it's a zombie-free zone," I said back. "Didn't see it in the back garden, though," she explained back. I had the mug half raised to my lips, but now I put it down again. I turned to look at Rosie. Her hair was windswept and her little cheeks were red, as if she'd been running. I put on my best stern, Dad's not happy voice. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with me. Have you been playing along the path out back again? I didn't really need to ask the question, because I already knew the answer. Rosie's allowed to play in the back garden on her own, and sometimes, if she asks us permission first, we let her ride her bike along the path out back of our house, the one that runs past our neighbors' back gardens. But that is all we allow her to do. This area is pretty safe, but these days you can never be too careful. There was a burglary a couple roads over a few months back, and last year someone got mugged on the high street. Several years ago, a few towns over, a little boy went missing. That was quite a long ways away from here, of course, but it made national news for days and the search eventually fizzled out, and had a lot of parents being more cautious. Rosie's getting older now and she's an adventurous girl, but still, you have to have boundaries. And on a few occasions lately, Rosie's been crossing those boundaries. Riding her bike out further than she should. Not coming home straight away when we call her. Sneaking out the back gate when she's only meant to be playing in the garden. Just being a curious kid. As I watched Rosie now, I noticed her face growing redder. She looked away from me, down at the kitchen floor, and scuffed her feet. Dad, I only went a little way down, she said. I promise. I was chatting to Mr. Henderson because I saw him in his back garden. I said hello and made him jump. I sighed. So there it was. Mr. Henderson was Rosie's zombie. Yesterday it was the postman, and the day before that it was a different neighbor. I took a sip of tea and shook my head. Mr. Henderson was, in fairness, a better candidate than the others. The guy lives on his own and looks about 100 years old. Moles all over his face, skin like a deflated balloon. Whenever we'd chatted over the garden fence before, though, he'd always seemed nice enough. Just a bit lonely. I couldn't have Rosie going around calling him a zombie. Listen to me, I said. I know you didn't go far or anything, but I don't want you to. She cut me off. I came right back after too, Dad. Rosie was staring up at me now. Blue eyes, large and pleading. I promise. And I even said no when Mr. Henderson offered me an ice cream. Because I know you don't like me taking stuff from strangers. I opened my mouth to respond and then paused. He offered you ice cream? Yeah, but I said no. Mr. Henderson really wanted me to come in and have one. But I told him I had to get home, and then straight back here to tell you that I'd seen a zombie, and Rosie was babbling now, her voice whirring like a motor. But I'd stopped listening. My mind was still stuck on something she'd said a moment before. Mr. Henderson really wanted me to come in and have one. I thought about that more, and I took another sip of tea and frowned. That wasn't good. I don't mind the neighbors chatting with my daughter, but I don't like the thought of them inviting her in. Not without us here. Not even if they were just kind, lonely old men. I made up my mind to go around and tell Mr. Henderson later, and to tell him myself, kindly, of course, but also firmly. In the end though, I didn't get a chance, because a few moments after I'd had that thought, Rosie said something else. Something that pushed everything else from my mind, and ended any idea that I might have had about going over to Mr. Henderson's house. She said something that made me feel cold. Dad, please don't stop me from playing in the garden. I promise I won't sneak out again. I don't want the zombie to get me. Rosie, I said back, I'm not going to stop you from playing in the garden. But you have to make me a couple of promises, too. First, promise me you'll stop going around calling people zombies. Mr. Henderson may be old, but he's not one of the living dead. Rosie frowned. I didn't. What do you mean you didn't? You just ran in here a moment ago calling him one. No, I didn't, she said. Mr. Henderson isn't a zombie. I saw the zombie in his house. But it wasn't him. I frowned, and I had the mug raised to my lips to take another sip of tea. But now I put it down again. What do you mean? You saw someone else in his house? Yeah, the zombie, Dad. I could see it pressed against his little basement window while I was talking to him. Cold fingers ran up my spine. What? Yeah, it was really scary. Its face was all bashed up and bloody and its mouth was open, like it was screaming at me. But do you know what confused me most, Dad? I tried to keep my voice steady. What? Well, I didn't realize kids could be zombies too. I thought it was only grown-ups. But I guess I must have been wrong because the one in Mr. Henderson's basement looked just like a little boy. Alright, this story is from r/paranormal. I died for a few minutes and now I'm convinced that there's something after death.
I never believed in anything.
Not in heaven, not in souls, not in the stories of people who said that they had seen the light. I'm a psychologist and I always thought that consciousness was just a product of the brain.
Until my heart stopped. 3 years ago I had a cardiorespiratory arrest. While I was sleeping.
The next thing I remember was a deep silence.
Not darkness, not emptiness, silence.
It was so dense that it felt alive. As if the silence were something. I suddenly had the sensation of having left my body, but I couldn't see it from the outside. It was more of an expansion.
I no longer had limits. No time, no space. But somehow it was still me. And there I felt it. A warm, familiar energy.
I didn't see her, but I recognized her with complete certainty. She was my grandfather. There were no words or images.
Just direct understanding.
A kind of invisible hug that told me, everything's fine. Then a sound appeared. Low and constant, like a rising vibration. And around me, thousands of lights, floating and beating, each one with a different identity. And I knew, without anyone explaining it to me, that they were souls. When I was about to join them, I felt a pull, a force that tore me from that place.
A paramedic was reviving me. My partner was crying. From that day, everything changed. I'm not trying to convince anyone.
But what I experienced was more real than anything in this world. And since then, I accompany people who are grieving or close to dying. I sometimes perceive that same vibration in the air, the deep calm impossible to describe. I don't know if it was the afterlife or just a state of consciousness that we still don't really understand, but I know what I felt.
And since then, I'm no longer afraid of death. I was clinically dead for a few minutes. I felt absolute calm.
I recognized my grandfather without seeing him and saw thousands of lights that looked like souls.
Since I came back, I'm not sure that death is the end. Please don't call another one. Oh my God, I just called a second one.
Okay, pillar.
I have to pillar. I have to pillar up. Oh no. Oh my God. That doesn't sound good.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
We gotta get out of here. Andrew Pearl.
Go, go, go.
Oh, nice.
I think I dodged the second shot. Why is he so fast?
Oh, my God. Okay, there's my stuff. Thank God.
This would have been a complete disaster to lose all of my stuff. Okay, that's all the scary stories and bad Minecraft gameplay that I have for you today. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching. If you like these stories, you can check out the authors on Reddit.
They're listed in the description. Okay, I'm gonna get out of this ancient city. This place gives me the creeps, and I'm gonna lose all my stuff. Okay.